Hello, welcome to the Harada Museum of Plant Biology. How can I help you today? Hi, I was wondering where I could find the new oak gall exhibit. I'm so glad you asked. I'm about to start a tour of the exhibit right now. The first room is right through that door. After you.
This room is the first room in this exhibit, the one that I am in charge of. I'm here to give you a general overview and prepare you for your journey through the development of algals. Do you know much about them?
Nothing at all. I see them a lot on trees, but I've never really gone through all the trouble to actually do any research on them, which is why I was so interested in seeing this exhibit.
Perfect. We love a blank slate here. In its most basic terms, an algal is a ball of plant matter that forms around the larva of a wasp that has been laid in meristematic tissues, like leaves and buds, of a host organism. In our case, that host organism is the oak tree.
Do these galls only form in oak trees?
Glad you asked. The answer to that is no. Galls can be produced by a large number of plant species and initiated by a large number of insect species. Since there's only so much detail one exhibit can cover, we try to keep it just to oak trees and wasps. Speaking of detail, even though this phenomenon is very widely spread and documented, even by Pliny the Elder and Charles Darwin, there are still a lot of biochemical mechanisms behind the galls that are unknown. Plant biologists are continuously researching these things to make sure to check back in here every few years.
For sure.
The development of algals can be generally partitioned into 4 stages: induction, early development, growth, and maturation. Check out the next room for information on induction and early development.
Thank you. Hi. Hey, welcome to the induction and early development of the oak gall. Are you ready to learn? Yes. The formation of the oak gall begins with the wasp. A female lays her eggs into the buds or leaves of a tree. When the first gall wasp larva hatches from the egg, the surrounding plant cells lyse, forming a chamber lined with callus-like tissue onto which the larva moves. It is thought that this action is not due to anything the mother wasp injects into the plant, but by secretions from the eggs and larvae themselves. Do we know what the secretions are and what roles they play? We don't know exactly what the secretions are, but they manipulate the plant to upregulate certain plant hormones. Hormones that we know are majorly involved include auxin and cytokinin, which both promote growth. However, there are many other hormones, such as asbestos acid, jasmonic acid, and salicylic acid, that are also involved, but we haven't yet figured out what role they play. This is a picture of an early stage gall. During the early stage, the larvae are less than 1 millimeter long. The parenchymal tissue lining the larval chamber begins to divide rapidly and differentiate into specialized nutrition cells that provide food for the larva. That's it for this room. Feel free to look around before moving on to the next section.
Hi, are you ready to learn about the growth stage of the oak gall development?
I sure am.
Perfect! The growth stage is focused on the growth of the gall itself, not so much on the growth of the larva. The larvae remain very small, while the outer gall tissues undergo extensive development and differentiation. The specialized nutrition cells you learned about in the previous exhibit multiply and enlarge. They become multinucleate and accumulate high concentrations of lipids, carbohydrates, and nitrogenous compounds.
How do they do that?
The exact mechanisms are unknown, but many galls have been shown to be rich in the auxin indole 3-acetic acid, also known as IAA, and IAA oxidase. It is hypothesized that gall tissues require large amounts of oxygen to maintain their productivity and to produce the nutrients for the larva. As a result, oxygen availability might be so limited that IAA oxidase is inhibited, influencing cell growth with a local increase in IAA levels. However, this is just what we can guess based on the current knowledge we have. There are high levels of many different plant hormones in galls, suggesting a complex web of interactions that need to be studied further.
Is this really something that is important enough to be studied in such depth?
Of course it is. All research is important, and plant research in particular has benefited people beyond just ecology and farming. However, this is a conversation for our upcoming exhibit on the importance of biological research. Speaking of which, come look at this photograph of a gall in the growth stage. GP refers to the gall parenchyma developing around the larval chambers, encircled in black. The L marker points to the larvae themselves, and NT refers to the nutritive tissues surrounding them. Vascular tissues can be seen radiating through the gall from the central point of connection with the oak shoot.
Wow, thank you so much.
Of course, go ahead on to the next exhibit whenever you're ready.
Welcome to the final room in our exhibit, where I'll teach you about the mature oak gall stage and why oak galls are important to their ecosystems.
Cool.
Once the growth stage is over and the gall is full of nutrients, the larvae grow rapidly until they exhaust all the nutritive tissues and reach the surrounding outer sclerenchyma layer. This causes tissues outside the larval chamber to become desiccated and lignified, a process in which the deposition of lignin in the cell walls causes them to become rigid and woody. These are the oak galls you think of, the bark-like growths hanging off trees.
How long does this whole process take?
Full gall development takes between 3 and 6 weeks, and in the 2 to 3 weeks after full development, the larvae pupate and eventually adult wasps tunnel their way out of the galls. And then soon those wasps will lay their eggs in trees and the cycle starts all over again.
Wow, how amazing. I love the circle of life.
Speaking of the circle of life, let me tell you about the biological significance of these beautiful oak galls and how they fit into our ecosystem. It's no surprise that oak gall wasps are obligate parasites, but there are multiple hypotheses as to why the wasps form this dependence on the oak trees in the first place. 2 theories place importance on the protective element of the tree. Being in a gall protects the larva from predators as well as the environment. In addition, the nutrient the tree provides the larva is a big incentive for the wasp to lay her eggs there. These hypotheses are valuable in our understanding of gall formation.
Do galls have any positive impacts on our ecosystem, or are they simply just for the benefit of the wasp?
I'm glad you asked. Oak galls, as well as the larvae inside them, act as a food source for many predators. Birds and rodents love to feed on the larva, fungi enjoy the plant tissue, and some species of wasp even drill inside the developing galls to lay their eggs inside, who then hatch and feed on the original larva. Isn't that cool?
Whoa, that's kind of intense.
Yeah, but it's the way of life. Regardless, that's it. I hope you enjoyed and can consider yourself somewhat of an expert on oak galls now. Feel free to take a look around. The exit is just that way.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for visiting the Harada Museum of Plant Biology.